And the pomp, the circumstance, the ceremony at Independence Park, the National Stadium in Kingston, Jamaica. World Cup qualifying is on the air. Thanks for joining us on beIN Sport. Phil Shane sitting alongside Kobe Jones as we get set for action in this World Cup qualifier. Jamaica coming in with just 2 points to its name, and they have played the extra match. That one due to Mexico taking part in the Confederations Cup. The United States, well, they do come in with a shot at first place in the final qualifying group on the line if they can get a victory here today. Kobe, it is also the place where it might have been one of the low points in Jurgen Klinsmann's national team coaching career.
I think that was probably one of the most difficult times for Jurgen so far, but right now they're in a good spot. There was a lot of talk early on about the team and where they were when they didn't have all the points that everyone thought that they should. But you know what? This is what happens in qualifiers. One win can jump you right up, and then no one's talking any more negative, and it's all positive, and I think the U.S. is in a good spot right now.
Well, let's take a look at that. I know when we were talking about that first match against Honduras, the defeat ended up causing a few problems, and it could have well been the start of a disastrous start. However, Jurgen Klinsmann got his forces together, maybe teaming up with Mother Nature at times to come away with 4 points over the next two. And as they step onto the pitch here today, the reserves heading towards the sideline, the starters about ready to come onto the pitch. It is a different side for the U.S. Instead of perhaps being in last place, they find themselves with a shot at first, and 2 home matches coming up against Panama and Honduras. Not easy games, but if they can get a result here today, it could be a very good position for the United States after 6 matches.
Well, it's all about positioning and, circumstance. They're in a very good spot right now, the U.S., because they're playing against a team that is lacking in confidence, that if they do have some negative things happen at the beginning of this game, you expect them to just really wilt and fail, and then that gives the U.S. a chance to get at least a point, hopefully 3, and then if they get those points, then there's a couple of home games, and that's where you expect to pick up 3, then 6 points.
Now again, for those of you who might be already putting this in the win column, it is anything but. This is a talented Jamaica squad. We saw it again when these two sides went head-to-head, but there's been a bit of a change under Tapa Whitmore. Perhaps maybe the aging of the Reggae Boys, not quite finding the fresh generation, although the young teenager Alvis Powell, who struggled a bit against Mexico, is going to be out there again at that right back spot, and I guarantee you it'll be interesting to find out if Altidore Dempsey and especially Fabian Johnson can take advantage. This Jamaica squad has talent, but it doesn't yet know how to play together and get a win. The United States, even though they struggled against Belgium, seem to have learned the lesson against Germany. Today, we find out it's not a final, but it's a pretty good midterm.
Yes, this is a good opportunity for the U.S. to really take advantage. They've gone down to Jamaica early. They've really scouted this team out. And like you said, Powell struggled a little bit against Mexico. So you expect someone like Dempsey that likes to drop in to actually, with that drop, shift a little bit to the side of Powell so he can pick up that ball and run at Powell a little bit, see if he can create some opportunities and chances, get behind that back line.
And you get set for the national anthems here at the office, and perhaps a fewer fans in the stadium than there were against El Tri. There you see the Tijuana contingent, Edgar Castillo, Joe Corona, both on the sideline. Corona had been playing well, although in spot starts for the Xolos, as far as Castillo playing almost every match at that left back, but not quite 100%. When he came onto the match against Germany is when things started to fall apart a bit, and he'll need to recover that when he steps onto the pitch for the next time. But at this point, it still will be DeMarcus Beasley. Here, the comparison when it comes to World Cup qualifying has definitely been one of those situations for Jamaica where victories have been few and hard to come by. Of course, the victory they did get was the last time they met in a 2-1 defeat thanks to those 2 free kicks. We talked about it in the pregame show. Kobe, it's very important for the United States to play a tough defense, but to not foul in the process.
Yes, set plays, set plays, set plays. So dangerous. You got to make sure that you don't give up silly opportunities, because in a set play, you really are just giving a free shot on goal when it's right around the box. So you don't want to do that. U.S. has got to be solid defensively, but don't do anything stupid. Concentrate for the full 90 minutes.
And taking a look inside the stadium, give me an idea of what it was like. And I know there's been some redecoration of the office, maybe moving the chairs around just a bit. But as we get a chance to take a look at the starting lineups, what's it like to be on the pitch in Kingston?
It's something else. First off, even though it looks pristine right here, the pitch is usually a little bit bumpy underneath, so the ball doesn't always travel exactly the way you want it to. Sometimes you'll see in a situation a player putting his foot out for a trap, the ball will bounce right over it. You know, it's not the best field situation, but then the fans are getting there at least an hour before the game. The music is blasting. There's usually speakers around the track, so they're really making sure it's a lively atmosphere for the home team, for the Reggae Boys, so you get that feeling that you know that you're at the office.
At the same point as the Panamanian referee Roberto Moreno leads the sides onto the pitch, you didn't have this FIFA anthem playing all the time back when you were playing in the good old days, but what is this feeling like? A World Cup qualifier on the road, enemy territory, and going into a match you know that you have a good chance to come away with points.
Well, it's a great feeling hearing this anthem when you're walking out, because you know you're representing your country. For me, I always loved playing at the opponent's home. I always wanted to do well there. I wanted to show up their fans, their players, and make them upset. You know, that was the challenge for me. So I'm sure there's a lot of guys that are living up to this challenge right now and are ready for it tonight.
The lineups on the pitch, and as you can see, we are on the opposite side, the tribunal side of this National Stadium in Independence Park on the far side as they make the introductions. A few members of the American Outlaws, the remnants of Sam's Army in attendance, many of them with smiles on their face. Find out if they'll have smiles in 90 minutes, still to be determined. But the national anthems of the U.S. and Jamaica to start us out. And right now making the introductions, the dignitaries making their way across, introducing themselves to both sides. There have been some changes in CONCACAF. There have been a few changes in Jamaica. However, Horace Burrell is still there. Stepped aside for a moment as we watch Sunil Gulati make his way through the receiving line as well. While Gulati continues to try and pick the United States up a level with the signing of Jurgen Klinsmann as boss. Horace Burrell, meanwhile, this is the third go-around for Theodore Whitmore. The last two, in many ways, were just caretaking stints between Bora Milutinovic, one of your old bosses, Ray Simos, the man of the Reggae Boys fame, and even John Barnes gave it a go but could not get it done. You almost wonder whether it's not the coaches, whether it might be the people above them in the federation.
Well, it's always a difficult time when you have a lot of change within the staff. You know, because every coach that comes in always wants their players, and they move players around, and it's a different philosophy every time. You really need, at least in my opinion, you need someone that's going to say, okay, I'm going to stick with this coach for a period of time and let them go through the full process and let them establish their team and their philosophy upon the players.
At the same point for Sunil Gulati, he put his neck on the line by making the decision to bring Jurgen Klinsmann in and letting go of the very successful Bob Bradley. So Gulati could also be in the firing range if the U.S. does not get this job done. The national anthems to get us started at the National Stadium. Just moments before the start of this one, you see Big Donovan Ricketts, who has turned back time. The 36-year-old approaching his 100th cap. And if you had the chance to watch him against Mexico, you know he's still got a lot in the tank. However, perhaps a bit nicked and bruised. Then again, which of us above 30 aren't? That shoulder causing a few problems, but it didn't look like it against Mexico. Here for the United States, and we'll take a look at the starting lineups in a moment, but it is the same starting lineup as the one that got the victory against Germany. Might not sound like much, but it's the first time in his coaching career with the U.S. national team that Jurgen Klinsmann has gone with the same lineup. Only one or a couple of changes here for Jamaica. It's going to be Marvin Elliott jumping into the middle. Take a look at Ricketts in the back. It's the youngster Powell, Mariappa, Gordon, and then keep an eye on Woodbine. A lot of talent, but at the same point, perhaps sometimes a bit hot-headed. Rudolph Austin providing the veteran leadership in the middle, and MLS's own Ryan Johnson leading the front line. Here's how they will line up.
And I really look at this. Obviously, Donovan Ricketts, well known within the MLS. You know, he's a talent in the goal. Very important that he is tested as much as possible. Ryan Johnson, he knows a lot of those defenders on the MLS squad, so we'll see how he matches up.
Again, taking a look inside the office as fans make their way through. It will be raucous at the start, and Tim Howard has to realize that. Take a look at that back pairing of Omar Gonzalez and Matt Besler. Both of them MLS. You toss in Brad Evans as well from Seattle, and a little domestic love from Klinsmann.
It just tells you the testament of how well the MLS league is now and how it's growing and getting better all the time. For me, you really look, everyone talks about Gonzalez and Besler. I'm concerned about Evans and Beasley. They're going to be tested by the speed of this Jamaican team as they try to attack on the flanks. You know, I have all the confidence in the world. The midfield should be strong. The pairings are there. You have Bradley, you have Jones in the middle, and you have Altidore, and you have Dempsey up top. They know each other very well.
One of the keys in my mind, we talked about it in the pregame, but Fabian Johnson, how healthy is he? Can he continue to put pressure on that hamstring? And if so, it'll be very interesting if he can continue what we saw against the Germans, cutting to the inside, providing that extra body, maybe allowing some width for DeMarcus Beasley, but really taking the pressure off Dempsey and Altidore on the inside. If they can get the Jamaican defense guessing, I think they have a few good chances to get some good answers.
Well, that's important that Johnson and Zusi, for a matter of fact, get forward, that they push forward as much as possible and create those opportunities on the flanks, but also take the attention off of Altidore and Dempsey. Don't allow them to be double teamed. That's so important, to allow Dempsey to drop in, receive the ball, and then he can start and create and attack.
Just about ready for kickoff. Jamaica will start things out. The Panamanian Roberto Moreno, arguably the best ref in the CONCACAF region, starting us out. And you saw Jamaica trying to go straight down the throat. And now the United States trying to return the favor, but the pass off target. Altidore in a battle with the teenager Alvis Powell, who does well to turn around, and blasting it forward, deflecting off of Jermaine Jones. Both of these teams starting at a rather breakneck pace, but the ball eventually back to Ricketts. Again, it's the teenager Powell, the veterans Mariappa and Gordon. Gordon, by the way, should be familiar with some of the guys he's going up against today as he plays his ball at Karlsruhe in Germany. And the not so much hometown product, but homegrown product, O'Brien Woodbine, the 25-year-old from Reno, should be easy to recognize with that giant mohawk on his head over on the left side. You see Marvin Elliott, the veteran, in the midfield. There's Jermaine Jones. Jones and Bradley, quite the tandem. Launching it long to the near side. Johnson giving chase. The Hoffenheim man avoided relegation, and now looking for more to gloat about. Off to Beasley. Into the center for Bradley. And you see as he pushes forward, Jones covers back. Something that Klinsmann's been impressing. Nice work, Zusi. The cross almost to Dempsey. Blasted away with the left foot, still loose. Now it's Bradley, past Ricketts, off Woodwork. Dempsey back to the middle. It is a frenetic start to this one in Kingston, Kobe.
Well, this is exactly how you want to start out if you're the USA right now. They're pushing, they're creating opportunities right away. The one thing that you see, Jamaica, they were going route one, hitting that ball long over the top, but they're leaving a lot of space. a lot of space behind him. You see right here the opportunity by Bradley, a first-time shot, just off a lot of frantic ball play going on in the box.
And now we see, mentioned the injuries that Donovan Ricketts has been battling. Looks like he might be grabbing that shoulder again. We saw in the warm-up, I didn't think much of it, but trying to stretch that right shoulder, wonder whether it was causing a few problems. 36 years of age, playing 2 matches in such close proximity, and then here in the opening seconds having to launch himself and land on that sore shoulder. Maybe it's just a bit too much.
Well, this could be too much for Ricketts. He has a history of having issues with that shoulder. Even this time back with the LA Galaxy, he always would come up with some type of injury, so he's a little bit injury prone. So this is not what you want to see right off the bat if you're Jamaica, that he's having issues. You have to wonder, is he going to be thinking about this the next time he has to go for a dive, or if he has to stretch for a shot?
From the same point, from a U.S. perspective, there's no room to be sympathetic. You might want to have a few blasts from long range.
Well, this is what you want to do. You want to test them. You want to shoot from anywhere now and make them move, make them make those dives and make them feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Off to the near side, Powell again stepping up. Omar Gonzalez with his first touch. Brad Evans, don't want to call him a revelation. Let's just say he might be an answered prayer at this point for a team missing Cherundolo and Chandler. Beasler, Bradley, Jones threading it through, and only a desperation lunge from Mariappa denies the break. Switch from Jones. Johnson settles. Johnson poking it past Powell, takes the shot, down goes Ricketts again. They test him, but Ricketts responds.
Well, you can see already how the U.S. is really forming their attack. That ball is finding Jones. He's hitting the long balls over the top to Johnson, and then you can see Fabian Johnson just cuts it inside to that favored right foot. He's going to get shots off. They're really going to be going at Powell as much as possible.
Well, back to Woodbine, 25-year-old playing for Reno in Jamaica's professional league. Over to the near side. There's Gordon, the Karlsruhe back. One of the new faces brought in by Theodore Whitmore. You ever play against Tapa?
Can't say that I have.
Still one of the iconic playmakers in CONCACAF. And Chance Dempsey, he won't back away. Altidore had choices, finds it back to the captain. Cuts inside, but he's not going to get there. Desperation lunge. Was it a foul? No. It didn't even look like it crossed, but Roberto Moreno not making friends in Kingston tonight.
And right here, you see Powell does a good job of really following the end of the play. And it looks, you know, it might have been a little bit of a touch from Dempsey, but not enough. I think Powell goes down very easy. Good call by the referee.
And you saw, looked like Ricketts was thinking maybe there would be a foul call, but let it trickle across. So a corner kick now for the U.S. Beasler maybe not as dangerous as Cameron or Goodson on these, but Omar Gonzalez definitely is. Dempsey trying to lurk behind. It's Zusi. Cleared away. Diving in was Beasley. Still loose in the box. Miscommunication, and Dempsey looking to pounce, but patience from Jamaica. Maybe more patience than they probably should have used.
You also get a little bit of a sense of nervousness from the Jamaican team right now. They're having a difficult time just clearing the ball outside of the box. They haven't even gotten to the 18 of the U.S. yet. For a team that really needs to score goals, this is an issue right now. They've got to push forward, and they've got to connect passes up top.
Another chance on the steal. We talked about pressuring even the simplest of goal kicks. That time it was Zusi. Gonzalez in a battle with Ryan Johnson. Johnson and Johnson come away with it. Maybe time for a Band-Aid for the U.S., but flying through was Jermaine Jones to cut it off with the pass. It was Jermaine Teddy Johnson battling with Bradley on the far side. Very impressed with both teams here in the early going for the commitment.
That's good work right there on both sides of the ball. You know, both teams turning it over. You see Bradley getting into it. That's a good battle. No foul, which is important, but actually working hard and going after the ball. Evans and Bradley. It's good step-ins there.
Throw in about box high. A good throw in from Woodbine. Might be as good as a free kick, so the U.S. better watch out. Everyone dropping deep inside the box. Sails over, knotted down by Ryan Johnson, and DaMarcus Beasley smartly clears it into touch. A little too easy for Jamaica that time. Another chance inside the box, whipped, but off the wrong side of the boot from Rodolphe Austin. It'll be a goal kick for Tim Howard.
Well, that's just another situation. When we talk about set plays, actually throw-ins in that final third are set plays just as well. And a little bit too easy for Jamaica to actually create these half chances in those situations there. U.S. defense has to pay attention. You can't have Austin coming up and getting a free throw-in. Has to be someone within arm's distance, making sure you can't bring that down and have a half chance at goal.
Howard blasting it long. Good hustle by Altidore. Allows the ball to bounce to Zusi. In for Dempsey. Dempsey tripped up just outside the 18. Play on. Popping up quickly to go the other way. Rodolphe Austin. And then stolen away. Numbers forward from the U.S. as they pressure early. Cross for Altidore. Cleared by Gordon. This Gordon's second match. All he has to do is play Mexico and the U.S. Should be easy after that.
Not bad teams to start out with in CONCACAF, right?
1-1 against Panama. 2-2 loss in Costa Rica really started the fires burning, and then what was probably a must-win against Mexico also went down to defeat. Knotted down to flip to the middle, and the Timbers frontman Ryan Johnson clears away. This is what we started to see flashes, even in the loss against Belgium. Altidore offside, has to go anyway, and I think Moreno will not pull out a card, but he will have a chat.
You see at the bottom of the screen, Altidore there standing offsides. He's got to make sure in those situations that he just takes those 2-3 steps to make sure that he's onside, because those are opportunities. Those are chances to go to goal.
Something we talked about, Klinsmann's talked about, when he plays at AZ, he's going to get 9 or 10 chances a game. When you come to World Cup qualifiers, you might only get 2 or 3.
Exactly. Much tougher situations. Teams are much more focused defensively in these World Cup qualifiers because there's such import on individual matches.
Launching it long, looking for Jermaine Johnson. Out comes Tim Howard with ease. He might not have the captain's armband, but you can see how much a leader he and Michael Bradley are, and Jermaine Jones. They might not be the vocal leader on this team, but there's a pretty good spine.
There's a very good spine, and I think that development of the spine is going all the way to the back now when you see Gonzalez and Beasler in there. And if they get those two solid continuously, you look at the spine of this U.S. team, and it's got to be one of the best in CONCACAF.
Now a chance for Beasley. He'll retreat. Talking about the match against Belgium, the ability to string passes together. Some might call them negative passes, but if you maintain possession, as Jones did there, now a chance on the break that almost frees Josie, but cleared away by Mariappa for a throw-in.
I have no problems with a team having those negative passes, so to speak, especially at the beginning of a game. Because if you're on the opposing team, if you're Jamaica right now and you're chasing the whole time, all that's doing is frustrating you. Negative or positive passes.
They played a huge match against Mexico just a few days ago. From a U.S. perspective, they have to realize the pressure might pay off late in the second half. Jones, Johnson, missed touch with the left. The youngster Powell launches it forward, and the whistle blows behind the play. Jamaica getting a break. Panamanian ref. There's actually a mixed crew here tonight. Quetzal Corrales from Nicaragua out there on the line, as well as Daniel Williamson, who's also from Panama. 11 minutes in the book. We were talking about it earlier about early pressure from the U.S. They've done that. Do you think that they expected Jamaica to return in kind?
I don't think the U.S. really expected so much pressure from Jamaica. I think they expected them to try to go over the top quickly, like we see right here. But not a lot of pressure on their defense. They're going to be allowed to play out of the back a little bit.
Attacking Brad Evans on that flank. Saw Woodbine, the left back, taking a step forward. Long-range shot. Tim Howard will take those any time of the week. See this National Stadium, you have the running track around it. Of course, they might even need Usain Bolt to do that here today. He was a pretty good football player in his own right. You see the velodrome, and while this is an imposing stadium. It's not as imposing as it could be if the fans were right on top of you.
Well, I think, yes, and a lot of that also has to do with the fact there's not nearly as many fans as you would expect in a World Cup qualifier down here in Jamaica. I think a lot of that has to do, it's not the main sport here, but also because they haven't had good results. If they had had better results, I think they would have had more fans. But right now, as we've heard, even it seems like their own country is against this team and is planning on 2018, and that they've already kind of given up on 2014 with this squad.
And again, it's amazing when you consider how they started. That match against Mexico in Mexico City, they went a couple of weeks in advance, acclimated themselves, and actually ran El Tri off the park. Just a bit unfortunate, and some great stops in the back by Corona. Well, they could have walked away with a 3 or 4-0 win. If they did that, who knows how this would have turned out.
Well, if they did that, they would have those points, a lot more confidence, you know, and it would all be a different setup, you know. And I think right now, where they are, they're looking back at that, just wishing and wondering.
The U.S. did respond after their tough start against Honduras. The Mother Nature assisted victory against Costa Rica, and then going down to grab the point at Azteca. Now looking to try and get their first road win. Altidore battling Mariappa, but the Reading man getting it up the line. Not out of danger, though. Box high throw. Zusi. A lot of people thinking this U.S. team should already have welcomed back Landon Donovan. I think Klinsmann likes what he sees from Zusi and realizes in 2014 Donovan is going to be there. He wants to see Zusi be at his best when 2014 rolls around.
I completely agree. I think one of the things that Zusi gives is not necessarily Donovan's strength, is the crosses and on the set plays. What Zusi gives out on the wing is he's willing to stay out there and just hit those crosses in. Landon, if he's on that situation out on the wing, he tends to like to dribble and connect with the small passes and come inside. So it's just a determination on what Coach Klinsmann wants out on that wing.
And watch there, Beasley, or make that Dempsey with the mistouch. Jones quickly sprinting forward, trying to knock it free again. Woodbine with a long throw. He'll take almost everything on that left flank. Back for Zusi, but he can't have mistouches like that. Back to Jamaica it goes. Quarter hour in the books. Things, I don't want to say slowing down, but maybe getting into a bit more of a rhythm. Gonzalez soars, so strong in the air. Bit of a hospital ball from Jermaine Jones, but Bradley got a fortunate touch. Woodbine laid off Johnson to Johnson. Cutting to the inside, Gareth McCleary, just his 5th cap out of Reading. Cross to the inside, looking for Jermaine Johnson, but it skips to the near side. And now Fabian Johnson, just Johnson, Johnson, and Johnson, trying to turn it upfield.
And now as this game has really started to settle down, you're starting to see the style of play of both teams come out. The U.S. now, they're going to keep the ball a little bit, connect with the passes, move the ball around, move this Jamaican defense, you know, all over the place, while Jamaica is going to try to counterattack as much as possible. Win the ball up the field as high as possible, and then quickly go to goal. That's going to be the goal for Jamaica. That's where their opportunities are going to come from. They're not a team that really sits and connects pass-wise.
Big day for Robbie Keane today. Of course, Ireland needed the victory against the Faroe Islands, and he responded. There's some other action going on right now in the late going as we take a look down below. This in the 41st minute.
Saved it in. Back up top for Diaz.
Ball blasted into the corner. Edu Vargas, this one just 4 minutes from halftime.
What a rocket off the right foot of Vargas.
Nice goal there by Vargas, and they responded as well a little bit later. Arturo Vidal off the turnover. Wanted the ball and gets it back. Paraguay, amazing, Kobe. The turnaround in just 4 years. Take a look here from this chance, parried away by Tim Howard as Jamaica putting pressure on the U.S. from Paraguay going top of the group last time around to now dead last and almost out of the World Cup this time around.
Well, it tells you how funky and crazy these qualifiers can be. Funky and crazy. I mean, look, just last week, look where Mexico was. They were way down, and now in one game, all of a sudden, they're at the top.
Well, one in the midfield. Dempsey sticking a boot in. Altidore back for Bradley, who again has to try and load the blades. Now to the near side. Jamaica pushing forward. Beautiful spinning run from Teddy Johnson. The cross to the middle over everyone, and the U.S. might have gotten a break there.
Now you see the speed of Johnson right there, going around pretty much across the whole field to outrun the players. If he really wanted to lay that ball across the face of the goal on the ground, would have created a better opportunity for his teammate, but hits that one a little bit too high.
beInSport.tv, where you can find out more about our coverage, including Be in Play. Don't forget, Peru against Ecuador in a vital CONMEBOL match, available live on Be in Play. Plus, and there's our Twitter handles, how you can get in touch with us. Football, one of the oldest of sports, now into the modern era. Speaking of teaching old dogs new tricks, Kobe, anyone ever try and turn you into a left back? Because DeMarcus Beasley has done a serviceable job. Chance now for Jamaica again, into the middle for Jermaine Hugh, the veteran out of Harborview, almost dispossessed. Flipping it wide was Elliott, almost takes it into touch.
Well, if we're talking about old dogs in this situation, not a left back, but I did play a right back quite a bit. I had the pleasure of playing in that 3-6-1 formation where I had the whole right side. So I was right back, right midfielder, and right wing.
3-6-1, you could still convince yourself you were a midfielder. It's a difference, though.
I had to convince myself I was a lot of things in that formation.
Here is Beasley. And you know what? In some ways, he's been the benefactor of the offensive ability of Fabian Johnson in front of him. The fact that he can provide some support, some width, some attack. Of course, Johnson gets that freedom because Beasley's been doing so well behind him.
Now, well, we talked to Jurgen Klinsmann about this, and it's all about pairings for him right now. And that pairing between Beasley and Johnson is really starting to develop. And the more they play together, you're going to see Johnson play a lot better and Beasley. And that's just going to help the team out.
Advance on the near side, Jermaine Johnson. Bradley intercepts. Not exactly total soccer, but the pairings he's working for. We've already seen it with Bradley and Jones. We've seen it with Gonzalez and Beasler. I'm sure tonight he's hoping to see it from Dempsey and Altidore.
Well, that's going to be a very important pairing with those two, because that's where the goals are going to come from.
Ball skips over everyone. Easy trap for Johnson, and not much waiting around here today at the office. Altidore tried to touch it and missed the mark and promptly got sent on his backside. They're the brain trust. Martin Vasquez and Andy Herzog, the assistants to Jurgen Klinsmann. Chris Woods, still the keeper coach. It's kind of his busman's holiday, keeping faith with his Everton mate Tim Howard. Ball all the way to the end line. Frustration in the center that Woodbine could not get the ball inside. Of course, if you believe some of the rumors, Woods might join Moyes at Manchester United, and I kind of have a feeling that Manchester United might not be as favorable to coaching an Everton keeper in U.S. colors.
I probably agree with you on that one.
Howard with Beasley behind. Short corner coming. Jermaine Hugh, 42nd appearance, crossed inside. Collision at that near post 6. And a quick whistle from Roberto Moreno.
Well, as we get into this 22nd minute, you see the rhythm of this game starting to change. You see that Jamaica's really starting to create through the midfield, which is surprising. You would have thought that, that Bradley and Jones would have had the better of this and really to kind of control that midfield. But now, all of a sudden, you're starting to see Elliott a little bit come out of that. Austin helping in the midfield with Hugh, and they're starting to pick up a lot more of the balls. That's why you're seeing more of an attack on this Jamaican side.
Just one defeat against Jamaica. Of course, it came in the last qualifier back in September. Even though they had the early lead, the same point, they have never won in Jamaica in World Cup qualifying. In fact, they've only scored 2 goals in Jamaica in World Cup qualifying. Something's got to give, because they're looking to score in their 11th straight against the Reggae Boys. Good work by Zusi to draw the foul, and still from a Jamaica perspective, not really a dangerous location.
No, and that's just a tactical foul right there on Zusi.
Into the area, smart finish from Altidore, but the flag had come up. Midway through this first half, the quick restart from the U.S. And you gotta, I guess, pull your brain back about a few frames, but it looked like maybe the slightest of leans. And we talked about it from Altidore earlier. He's got to realize he could play a step or two back. He's still got the speed to beat those guys.
Exactly. Not the most.
Ball crossed into the center, deflected away. Ryan Johnson challenging, and good work by Beasler to build a wall.
Not the most disciplined back line, Jamaica. So really, Altidore can afford to take a couple of steps back and use that speed. I think he's quicker in the mind of that back line of Jamaica.
Nice ball from Jones, wide for Zusi. The cross over Dempsey, and Altidore will track it down, saying there was a deflection. The Kingston fans might not agree, but the referee did. Beasley back for Altidore, back for the ex-Puebla man. Still waiting to find out where he will call home next year. Bradley's pass almost intercepted. From a U.S. perspective, just 3 times they have been shut out in 20 matches against Jamaica, and not since 2001. Ball goes wide. You can see, even though it is a throw-in for Jamaica, Altidore staying forward. This is one of those situations, pressure, try and win the ball back deep in Jamaica territory.
This is when you want to step up from the back line, be very tight like we talked about before. Nobody's free. You should be within grasping distance of your player. Stay tight and then head everything back down the throat of Jamaica right now. That's where you want to stay close. And this is just too easy for Jamaica to come out.
Little flick and then dumped into the middle as a foot race. Beasley with his speed gets over it, just plays it safely out of bounds. Someone should have been contesting that first header.
Now, it just seems a little bit too easy on throw-ins and set plays for Jamaica to create opportunities here. You know, it seems like there's a little bit of a hesitation of like, okay, we can rest and relax, but those are the most dangerous times in the game. Woodbine
again. Ryan Johnson tried to knock it inside. He thought Jermaine Johnson would make the run. He didn't. U.S. now with a chance to counter into the middle for Jones. Now it's Bradley. Still hard to believe, 25 years of age. He might hit 100 caps before he is through 26. And as we saw from Roma this year, continuing his progression, even keeping Daniele De Rossi on the bench for a large part of the season. 20 minutes left to go in this opening half, and after a frenetic start, things calming down just a touch. This, I guess, the feeling out stage that normally happens early. 26th minute. Long ball from Gonzalez, shepherding it aside. Adrian Mariappa. And Donovan Ricketts with a chance to put it back in play. 97th appearance for Ricketts between the pipes for Jamaica. He will get to 100, you know that, but at the age of 36, whether it's Whitmore or someone else, they're going to be needing someone else soon between the nets. Back to Howard, who's 34 himself. Brad Guzan, I think, with his recent performances, seems to have answered a few questions as to who's the deputy in waiting.
I think so. I think Guzan has done a very good job of showing that, you know, he can step up at any time when called on and perform to the level that everybody's expecting. So he's definitely made sure that he's got that #2 spot.
Evans maybe not able to get forward, but staying back and harassing McCleary all the way down. Double teaming is Jermaine Jones coming over, but whistled for the foul. Jones can't believe it. Moreno can be a stickler at times. Well, maybe the second leg coming up because he got the ball first.
Yeah, that seemed like a clean tackle to me. I don't think that should have been called by the referee. He gets the ball, and in that situation, you tend to just, your leg comes up a little bit after that. That shouldn't have been a foul.
Now, not dead center, so not a direct shooting opportunity, but remember they scored 2 off free kicks the last meeting. 5 yellow jerseys in the box. Launched long over everyone, and the U.S. can breathe a sigh of relief. Mentioned that Paraguay-Chile match, things getting a little bit tighter as Paraguay trying to desperately get off. Taking a look off the counter. Keep an eye on the big man in the middle. Roque Santa Cruz able to notch that one home. 2-1. Maybe there is a comeback in Asuncion.
Oh, this just looks like a gimme goal. The space that was allowed for him to have that shot is just too easy. Look at that. No one's within 5 yards of him. Any striker's going to step up and take that.
Chance for Altidore. Maybe he could learn a few things from Roque there. Trying to thread it through, but it pops up and offside the call. Jamaica right around 50th in the rankings. The United States at 28th. Of course, the only rankings that really matter. And this time you can see it's Dempsey that's getting caught by that back line. Just sloppy running on the line.
It has been so far. That's 3 offsides that we've seen early on by the strikers of the U.S. They've got to make the most of these opportunities because they come few and far between. Make sure that you're on sides.
Again, pressure from Zusi. Altidore now giving chase, but he reaches out with his arms. Can't give away the easy fouls. Got to keep the pressure on. And again, easily forced to push it out for a Jamaica throw. He did everything right until he grabbed the shirt. Switch to the far side, McCleary. 26-year-old winger trying to cut to the inside. Evans forcing him wide, but then beaten to the goal line, crossed inside, but Howard puts out the fire.
And now Evans is really starting to be tested by McCleary on that side out there, and I think McCleary knows that he can have the better of him. We saw in that situation just a little bit of a poor cross there, and that would have been a good opportunity for Jamaica if that had been a decent cross across the face of the goal.
Look how quickly Jamaica getting back, but still Zusi with a little pocket on that far side. Tries to get around Woodbine. The cross for Altidore soars and scores. On the half-hour mark, Zusi to Altidore, the magic combination unlocks Jamaica.
We see the celebration by the American Outlaws most likely in the stands. And once again, Zusi shows that little bit of quickness right there to get that ball off his feet quickly. A beautiful cross, perfect cross onto the head of Altidore, where all Altidore has to do is get up and redirect it. Excellent job by Altidore to position himself in between the 2 defenders. But look at that little quick step by Zusi. Puts a beautiful cross right across the face of the goal at the 6. Impossible for Ricketts to come out and save that. Altidore has another goal.
Let me ask you this, though, because it would probably be Graham Zusi who would be the one sacrificed if Landon Donovan was out there. Maybe the U.S. would have already scored in a different way, but that's the reason Zusi's there. He makes Altidore the better forward.
Now, this is what I talked about, and I think it's a little bit of what Jurgen Klinsmann talked about Altidore. He gets a lot of crosses with his club team, and he scores. Well, if you can make it a lot like his club team, do it here.
Catching Evans out. Ryan Johnson trying to bang that one off the defense, and he does win the corner kick. So now the question for Whitmore's Jamaica, how do they respond? They've just gotten their nose bloodied on the header at the half-hour mark. If the U.S. can stay patient, there's a good chance this match gets just a bit easier. Under a quarter hour to go. It will swing in towards Howard. Moving the pieces of his defense around. Cleared into the middle. Deflected to the back post. Good work from Omar Gonzalez, towering in the middle.
Yeah, so important to have a big man in there. As we talked to Jurgen Klinsmann, he talked about somebody with presence, and Omar Gonzalez has that. He has the presence, and he's big enough to win 90% of those balls coming into the box.
Powell, 4th cap, throwing it in. Beasler heading it wide. Dumping it back, Hugh. Skips to the middle, long shot, Austin, but it got caught between his feet and he couldn't find the trigger. Take another look at this one that the U.S. gets on the board.
And you see Zusi with the quick step, and you see really great job by Altidore, but also poor defending by Jamaica. But another thing that we talked about, the numbers in the box. There was 2-3 U.S. players in the box off of the cross. So important that they push those numbers forward and continue to go at this Jamaican team. Do not let up. Finish this game off in the first half.
Ball all the way off to the near side. Beasley claiming the touch, but he will settle for the throw. Chile, by the way, holding on. 2-1 the final there as they climb up and practically eliminate Paraguay. 4 matches left for the once proud Guarani Warriors. Beasley quickly in for Bradley. It's another thing we've started to see, and it's what Klinsmann wants. Keep the pressure on and do it quickly. Quickly back to Beasley. Another cross to the middle. Skips past Altidore. Off balance shot from Zusi. Keeps it alive. Shot from Jones with his left. Zusi again fighting for it, but can't lay it back. Strong challenge out of the back from Beasler. Won back by the U.S. Jamaica right now hanging on for dear life.
And this is exactly how you want to play after a goal if you're the United States. You want to keep possession of the ball, keep this Jamaican team moving around and just really running all over the pitch and not having any answers.
Need a little Tiger Woods backspin on that one. Good run from Altidore. And again, we talked about this before the match, Kobe. The goals starting to come. Second straight game for a man who was in a year-long plus drought for the national team. But you could see in the games leading up, he was starting to put the process together, and now he's reaping the rewards.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We talked to Coach Klinsmann a little bit, and he was saying that it's not a certain thing when it comes to goal scoring. It's about continuing to do the same things over and over and doing them right. It's the process, and Altidore has come back doing the process, continuing to work hard, continuing on his defense, continuing to do the same runs that he always does. But now the pieces are starting to come together around him, getting crosses in, getting the little small connections up top, and creating with Dempsey. And now it seems to be coming together. It's turning around.
Well, 10 minutes left to go in this opening half. Hope you're enjoying this full day of qualifying. Much more coming your way next week, including a few big matches over the weekend. Spain taking on Haiti and France against Brazil. And then back to action on Tuesday. Good ball in for Dempsey. Bradley starting to find his feet.
Look at this. We're starting to see Beasley start to push forward on that left side a lot more. And that tells you that's a little bit of confidence there. Fabian Johnson starting to push inside, allowing that whole channel for Beasley to go up on the left.
Long ball from Beasler, well delivered, drops it to his KC mate Zusi, but just skips away. Need to see a few of those as well. Occasionally, if the local roads are clogged, you take the expressway. So much talked about in regards to push from the fullbacks, Evans and Beasley. But another one of your old bosses, Bob Bradley, was a fan of an off-balanced lineup. Maybe you keep your right back and it's your left back that gives you the offensive push. Maybe we're starting to see that develop, at least with this formation. But Jamaica right now struggling for answers.
And Jamaica's having a very difficult time. They seem to be trying to, right now, press all over the field, and you can't do that against a good team. You need to shorten the field up as much as possible, keep it tight. They can't seem to really get after the ball.
Poor touch from Johnson to Beasley, to Dempsey, allows Jamaica to steal it away. See a little bit of frustration. Jermaine Johnson was hoping for a bit more movement. Now, from a U.S. perspective, cannot panic, cannot rush. It's a 90-minute match. Ball had just carried across into touch. As you take a look at our website and Twitter handles, feel free to jump on board. We'd love to hear from you, but cannot afford to give up a goal and lose what they worked for just before the half.
Exactly that, and that's going to be an important time for this U.S. team. They've been known to give up goals at the most inopportune times. So right now, if you're Jurgen Klinsmann, you're yelling from the sideline, make sure in these last few minutes, these last 10 minutes or so, that you are tight and paying attention to everything. No mistakes.
Looking for Jermaine Johnson, headed to the middle by Beasley. Beasler launching it long. Altidore might have been coming back from offside, but just lets it go for a Jamaica throw. Victory against Costa Rica, although there are questions as to whether that was a soccer match to begin with, at least 20 minutes in. But they did persevere, got the goal, scoreless against Mexico, and now the lead against Jamaica. Quite a turnaround from the team that struggled mightily against Honduras in their opener. Talked about this earlier, finishing the thought. It's the ability to peak in the World Cup. That should be every coach's goal, not how you start the qualifying race, but you do have to get there.
Well, that's the important part. You have to get there, so you have to have enough of that peak going for you to make sure that you get through those rounds and make sure that you make it to the World Cup.
Just inside, and you know what? Ryan Johnson might have something to argue about. Howard now trying to marshal his forces. Gonzalez backs off, but Jones jumps in. Chance for Rudolph Austin, who loves those long shots. Rhino lifting it in. Austin through, pings it off the post, and the U.S. can thank its lucky stars because they're sparking off the woodwork.
What an opportunity by Jamaica right there. And like we said, in these last final minutes, they've got to pay attention. They gave too much time on the setup of that play, letting Austin run through with the little chip to receive a little chip in the box with no pressure on him.
Beautiful ball from Ryan Johnson.
Well, Johnson had a great ball, just lifting that up over the back line of the U.S.
Part of the learning experience of Omar Gonzalez again.
Yeah, I really think, you know, thanks for the post for the U.S. right there, but it's one of those things you need to step up. And you see Johnson with a quick over the top there, and just a little bit of a touch there, I think by Evans. It looks just enough to maybe throw that shot off. Just a little bit of a nick.
Here they come again. Jermaine Johnson on the volley, but it whistles wide. The U.S. again, as we head to the half, starting to show some wobbles.
And this is what's important about this. You do not want to give opportunities up like this in the last few minutes, because going into halftime, the Jamaican team will be thinking, hey, look, we created some opportunities at goal. We still have a chance in this match. So they got to make sure that they shut this down, play solid for these last 6-7 minutes or so. So Jamaica goes into half thinking there is no opportunity.
Off to the near side again. Simple little passes. We saw it in the trailing moments against Germany. We're seeing it here. This one actually means something. Tucked inside, pass from Hugh off target. Cleared only as far as Powell. The 18-year-old forward for Jermaine Johnson. And well, they're going to call it the other way. It looked like Beasler might have had a handful of Teddy Johnson's shirt, but the assistant, Daniel Williamson, sees it the other way.
And you see on the play here, yes, the forearm into the chest on Beasler, actually pushing him back. Because I was about to say, it seemed like the line was a little bit staggered there, but it was actually the push, going on right there from Johnson on Beasler that was pushing him off the back line.
Fans around the United States, thank you so much for joining us here on beIN Sport. Phil Shane, Kobe Jones with you. 5 minutes left in the half. Graham Zusi, again one of the heroes here today, finding Altidore for the goal scored in the 30th. Now it's back to Bradley. Thinks about it, laid back by Altidore. Strong run, Beasley almost threads it through, but Powell shuts the door. 2-on-2. Not really what you want to see if you're Gonzalez, so he just gets it out of dodge.
Smart play by Gonzalez, not trying to just touch it and play out of it. Kick it out of bounds, let your team drop in, and then reform the defense.
Another opportunity for Jermaine Hugh. Veteran getting a chance here. Maybe last chance saloon for him to get to a World Cup. As everyone remembers, Rene Simos and the Reggae Boys. Golden generation. One of the guys you used to go against, Andy Williams, I think, never quite replaced. Always difficult to pigeonhole what Williams did, but the creativity and the genius was there.
Yes, I remember playing against that golden generation of the Reggae Boys, so tough at all times. And Andy Williams, It's like you said, the creativity.
And Tappa Whitmore himself, another one. Maybe you might remember him if you put Kobe's dreadlocks on Whitmore.
I definitely remember Whitmore. I remember those times. Those were some battles that we had over the years against the Reggae Boys.
See Warren Barrett there in the background, former goalkeeper of that team, now the goalkeeper coach. This is a little bit more like it. No need to panic. You have the lead. Draw Jamaica up and make those alleys just a bit wider.
Now this is important for the U.S. to do this. Now the problem, they were doing this the whole time. The problem is that they would make a little mistake here and there. But this is excellent work passing through this midfield of Jamaica.
And it's Jermaine Jones who does the brilliant work, but then promptly loses control and a chance on. 2 minutes left. Don't want the brilliance to disappear. Jamaica, meanwhile, can put what was a rough, can get an equalizer. Crossed into the middle. Good work by Beasler. Altidore. You know, a few chats with Mike Sorber. Defense is an 11-player word, and a lot of times you don't think about it. But Altidore key on that play. Johnson just not enough on it to get it past Gordon. Into the center, McCleary. Battling Jones. Bradley tries to knock it free. Team defense, and Jermaine Jones does, but quickly won back by Johnson. Fabian Johnson got his legs tangled. It'll be a free kick for Jamaica.
I really feel that the referee fell for one right there. I don't think that was a foul on Johnson. I think the player went down really easy. He won the tackle. You see right here, McCleary loses possession of the ball there. Just a good battle between McCleary and Jones. This is important. Just a couple minutes left. Set plays. U.S. really needs to pay attention here.
No Luton Shelton, though, although Rudolph Austin scored on a free kick in the last match thanks to a deflection. 45th minute, and there's probably not too much injury time, although there was some treatment to Ricketts. Whipped up and over, off target, and an encouraging clap all the way from Tim Howard. The Leeds man just got under it. Well, the band continuing to play. Not quite the Titanic yet for Jamaica, but for the United States, not quite a trip to the Rose Garden yet either. Still another 45 minutes in this one. But at least for a moment, the U.S. would top the table. Zusi dropping back. Austin slips. Launched long. Off balance Beasler. Chance for Jamaica. 1 minute to be added. Hugh on the turn, but again it's Beasley in good position. Now on the turn, Johnson poked free. Possession about as even as it can be, but the only number that matters tilting in the U.S. favor. A little late to step up. McCleary threading it through into the middle behind the run of Hugh. Blasted in by McCleary. U.S. trying to get it out of danger. Dempsey now back, and Beasley will just whistle it forward, but didn't get air underneath it. Poked back in by Jamaica. Still 30 seconds left. On the turn, Austin. Good ball, McCleary making the run. Austin, edge of the 18, wide open, needed a better cross. Beasler and Beasley combine. Still a few seconds left if Jamaica hurries.
The U.S. is giving up too many opportunities in these last few minutes here. You really need to concentrate and finish this half out.
Jamaica passes it back. You don't want to give the ref a chance to blow the whistle. Powell turning forward. Maybe one last cross from McCleary. Lifts, looks, launches. The header up over Gonzalez and over the goal. Strong challenge by Marvin Elliott, but for naught. And it looks like the U.S., once they put this one back into play, is going to head to the dressing room with a 1-0 lead. It wasn't perhaps as easy as it could have been to get to the half, but they get the job done.
Well, it really seems like a good showing by the U.S. here. The last few seconds, a little bit of a problem there, letting opportunities come. I'm sure Jurgen Klinsmann is going to address that at halftime, saying, look, 45 minutes the second half, close it out. We need to close out this second half.
Well, now 11 straight matches against Jamaica with a goal, and halfway towards that elusive first win in a World Cup qualifier in Kingston. Jamaica 0, the United States 1 at the half at the National Stadium, Independence Park in Kingston, but the job just half done.